Hey guys, what's up for EFC? And today we're talking about the strikers that should go and play first team for England in the upcoming tournament when that eventually does happen. I've narrowed it down to six, and I think it's a good problem to have. We have six very good candidates here. I have some stats on screen that I'll read out throughout the video, but the candidates are Jamie Vardy, Danny Ings, Harry Kane if fit, Tammy, Dominic, and Rashford. All judge on fitness, obviously. So if we pretend they're all fit, it's who you'd bring. So we'll go through some of the basics. Like, for example, Kane and Rashford have played the least amount of games, and for that reason, their goal tally is not going to be as high as others. But we've also got goal to game ratio, so don't worry about that. We'll be getting into that. But of course, that is a bit of a worry right there because you're going to want your players to have played as many games as possible. Try and get that experience up, keep playing. Because injuries are setbacks, and we've seen players that are just completely different after they've come back from injuries numerous amount of times. So obviously that's not against them there. But playing the most games are Danny Ings, Dominic, Vardy, and Tammy. Ings have played the most games with 29 games played, and before I start this video, I'll be honest with you, I'll level with you here. I thought Ings should go. Having looked at this, my opinion might have changed a little, but we'll kind of get into that. He's definitely worth a shout, but it's interesting when we've got all this written down in front of you. Now, of course, you have to take into account the teams they play for, okay, the styles that they play, everything like that. So it's not all about who scores the most goals and whatnot, because England are now playing a bit more passing style, so you need your strikers to be a bit more involved. So with goals in general, anyway, as we know, Jamie Vardy has the most for 19 goals. Second is Danny Ings with 15, so a bit of a gap there. Rashford with 14, Tammy and Dominic with 13, and then Harry Kane with 11. Obviously, with Harry Kane playing the least, he's scored the least goals. However, when we get into goals per game, Jamie Vardy's on top. He scores 0.73 goals a game. So pretty pretty good going, really. It's nearly a goal a game, and that is far superior to anyone else on this list. The closest is Rashford, and he's 0.64, which it is still a very good return. The worst is Dominic with 0.48. It's not really great. The rest of them are in the 50s. So already we're kind of seeing a bit of a picture here. Now, obviously we have to go into penalties and things like that, which we'll go into soon, but it's already showing that for goal scoring, perhaps Dominic's not going to be the best for that, and that then creates an issue as him being a striker. Now we're going to pretend there's two up top, okay, and we're going to try and make a team here, okay, of the two players who play up top. Now England, they've been known to play two of the 3-5-2. And that's what we're going to kind of go with on this. So we're looking for two strikers and then a third as a substitute. And that's what we're trying to look at for the team here. Now, Dominic is already looking like he's not the most clinical. Vardy looks very clinical though, like he's going to score you goals. Headed goals. Dominic has the most headed goals with 4 of his 13 goals being from headers, which gives him an aerial threat, and I think that's a very good trait to have. Usually, I would use an aerial threat for the bench. The reason being, you can bring them on, they can change games because you start crossing the ball in. It's great against opposition that like to sit back. Honourable mention to Tammy and Vardy. They've both got 3 headed goals. So Vardy not only is dangerous with goal scoring ability, he can also score headed goals. Um, and so can Tammy. So nice little things to look out for there. Ings is the only one not to score a headed goal, but he's a very short player. That's not his game. He's very quick. He doesn't score headed goals. Plain simple. Penalties. Now this is where it gets interesting, okay? Because it's not the case that anybody can score a penalty, because it's not. It takes a lot of guts to do it. Look at Manchester City this season. They they're not great at penalties. Yet you try and tell me Aguero is not a class player. You tell me he's not a goal scorer just because he can't score a few penalties. He scored penalties over his career, but I'm more about lately. Penalties are hard to take. You're under a lot of pressure because you're expected to score, and that adds on the pressure. Um, However, it does give you more of a chance to score, and so it needs to be taken into account. The most penalties is from Rashford. He has scored 5 of his 14 goals from penalties, meaning 9 are from open play, which is not great. Okay. Second was Vardy. He scored 4 penalties, which means he scored 15 from open play. So even with the 15 open play goals, he'd still be joint top goal scorer. Kane scored 2, meaning he's had 9 goals from open play, so that'll be the same as Rashford. Tammy, Ings, and Dominic, none of them have scored penalties, so their goals stand. So that's an interesting one. Obviously, you do need a good penalty taker as well on your team, whether it be in midfield, striking options. It's another thing to think about. Moving on from there, shots. It's important to know this for the reason they need to be clinical. When you're playing international football, you don't always get the chances because, as a lot of you may know, international football is mainly a game of defence. The reason for this is because the teams don't gel correctly, so defence seems to be the best way to kind of counter it. In theory, yeah, international football, the best players from every nation. It sounds wonderful and it should be a brilliant affair, but most of the time it's not, and yeah, it usually comes down to a good defence. Which is why, actually, I believe it's Greek, the Greece national team. Their defence is brilliant, and they usually do quite well in tournaments like this. And they've not really got the most talented squad. Anyhow, from my point, Rashford has had the most shots on goal. Now this is concerning. The reason being, he's had the most shots on goal, but the joint least from open play. So from those 9 open play goals, he's had 74 shots, which, just off the top of my head, from every 8 shots, he scores 1. That's pretty poor. The second one with 73 is Tammy. 13 goals. That is a bit more respectable. It's still not great, but 13 goals from 73 shots. However, the most clinical when it comes to shots, as you'd expect, is Harry Kane. He has had 56 shots. Now, I suppose when you take out his penalties, that means 9. It's a bit more respectable because it's more like 1 in 6 shots will go in. Vardy, he has had 59 shots, so honourable mention there. However, he has scored 19 goals, 50 of which from open play, so off the top of my head. Actually, that's pretty good. I mean, that's 1 in 4 shots that Vardy takes goes in. That is a very good return. Ings 66, so about the same. 1 in 4 shots go in, so some good returns there, which is nice to see. Rashford is quite concerning though. Yeah. Now, how often do you get these shots on target? Because you need to make the keeper work. okay, and it could be the case of a rebound. Even if it's just one in every so often, there's always the case that it can happen. As long as you make the keeper work, and they say to make the keeper work. Vardy gets most of his shots on target. Okay, he's had 35 on target of his 59 shots. So that means half his shots are on target, which is outstanding, by the way. Honourable mention to Rashford. Obviously, he's had a lot of shots, so he's going to be up there. He has 34 of his 74 shots on target. Which one's games 1 and 2? So they're all about 1 and 2. I don't think I can find anyone that's really not. They're all about 1 and 2. Now, big chances missed. This is a big one, and the reason why it's a big one is because, like I said, in international football, you're not going to get a lot of big chances. A lot of them are going to be half chances. So if you're presented with a big chance, you're going to need to finish. So, the worst for this has missed 17 big chances that could have accumulated to 17 goals. A big chance is, a big chance. And that is Tammy Abraham. If he had have scored all those, he would be up to 30 Premier League goals. Now, of course, everyone's going to miss big chances. But he is the worst for it, which puts him in a bit of a poor scenario. The best, however, has only missed 3, and that is Harry Kane. Meaning, at most, through the chances, there's big chance if he put those away as well, he would have scored 14 Premier League goals in 20 appearances, which is outstanding. Honourable mention to Ings as well. He's only missed 5. However, Vardy has missed 15, which could have brought him to 41 goals. I'm not saying all these should be goals, by the way. No. I'm not saying that at all. But this is to show how clinical they can be in front of goal. And Dominic has missed 14, which is quite poor as well. So, that is from the striking option right there. I'm going to go into passes and that in a minute. But judging from that, what we've seen, what it's telling me is Vardy is the best goal scorer on that list. Okay? What is also telling me, Ings is a close second. Kane is the most clinical. Dominic has the best aerial ability. Tammy is a bit of a mixed bag where he needs a lot of shots to score, which isn't a great trait, but he needs a lot of shots to score, which then leaves us with Rashford, and once again needs a lot of shots to score, and aided by penalties as well, which I don't know if he'd get the penalties in the England squad, if I'm honest, but that's what it's telling me. So right here, from striking options, if I want goal scorers, I'm going to be looking at Vardy, Ings and Kane. So, moving on to the passing ability. Okay, so this is going to be more the assisting striker, because what I want in my 2 strikers, I want someone that's going to score. I want someone that's going to help assist him score. Okay, because very rarely you can play the old put 2 very good strikers up front and they'll both score, like how Uruguay do with Cavani and Suarez. You don't always get that. Usually you need a creator and a finisher. So we're going to be looking for our creator, and this is pretty unanimous from what I'm looking at, but I'm going to go through it anyway. Passes, the most passes completed. Now obviously this is going to go better for teams that pass the ball more than not, but I'm going to say it anyway. The least is Jamie Vardy. As you'd expect, it's a counter-attacking team. And the most by a big margin is Rashford, with 551 passes to Jamie Vardy's 315. The second best is Ings, and he's only got 420. Rashford, far and away, gets involved with play the most. And the reason this is important as well is because the way England play, you need to be involved in the build-up play, or at least one of the strikers do, the supporting striker. And right there is brilliant. We go to assists now, and Jamie Vardy and Rashford both have 4 assists, being the top. The least is Ings and Dominic. Now, of course, once again, pretty unanimous there. Passes per match, bigger teams, once again. Rashford has the best with 26, and Vardy the worst with 12. Honourable mention goes to Kane, though, who's got 19.5, which means he does get involved with the play through his through play, because see, he's played the least games, so he's not going to be up there with the most of anything. What he's more or less looking at is per game. And per game, he does get a lot of passes in. 19.5, which is a lot more than anyone else besides Rashford. So now we go to big chances created. Okay, so this isn't assists as such, this is more giving the opportunity to a teammate to score, and they perhaps just don't finish it. Vardy's got the most with 7. Now what this tells me immediately is, whilst he does not pass the most, he's got the joint most assists, and he's got the most chances, big chances made, which tells me he is a good decision maker. Now, the fact that he's got the most goals, joint most assists, and he's made the most big chances, he is a good decision maker. He's not wasteful. Okay, and that is something that's key to international football. You cannot be wasteful, and that right there tells me he's not wasteful. Second was Rashford, and least was Dominic. Honourable mention to Tammy with 3. So right here through the passing range, as you kind of guessed, is between Rashford and Vardy. Dominic was useless at it. Absolutely useless. So we'll go through it again. If I was England manager, I'd bring Vardy. Okay, I'll say my 2 starters first. I'll bring Vardy. Okay, he not only is he great at goal scoring, he is clinical, great decision making. He's good in the air as well. He can take penalties. He doesn't have loads of shots. Gets most of them on targets. No, it's absolutely brilliant, and I would have him as my goal scorer. I'd also have Rashford. I know, I would have Rashford. He was not great in the goal scoring department, but he's quick. Not only that, as a creative player, he is by far and away the best one on here. Now, with the amount of passes, that means he can get involved in build-up play. With the amount of assists, that means he has a quality of ball and vision. Passes per match, obviously he has a lot of passes in there. He created the second most biggest amount of chances, second only to Vardy. He can take a penalty. He scored the most penalties. He has a lot of shots, which is against him. He needs to cut that out of his game. So he needs to get a bit better quality finishing. However, he does get 34 of those, 74 on target. He's not great in the air, he's scoring 1 goal. He's got the second best goals to game ratio. So yeah, I would have Vardy as my goal scorer and Rashford sitting just a little deeper to assist. Okay, it's more trequartista or false 9. And Vardy as my advanced forward. So now I have a choice of 4 strikers for the bench. I can only pick one of them. Now, this is a tough one. This is harder to make because Vardy and Rashford will stand out for me. Stand out. But what do I want from my bench player? Now, do I want someone like Dominic who can come off the bench and score a headed goal? Like I said, I enjoy that in my bench striker. Do I go for Tammy? Someone that, he can also score a headed goal. But by the looks of it, not much else. He's pretty bang average. And he's been out of form of late. He's not been having the greatest form heading in to the end of the season. Do I go for Harry Kane? Doesn't have many shots on target, but don't have many shots even. He doesn't miss many big chances, i.e. he's clinical. He's decent in the air. Obviously, I think if he had a few more games, he'd have a few more headed goals. He can score penalty. And he's got a lot of England experience. Or do I go for Danny Ings? The one that I thought was going straight in this team when I started this video. He doesn't miss many chances. He's a good goal scorer. He doesn't have a lot. He's got an average amount of shots, but then he doesn't get involved in the assist much. So, if I was going to pick, it's a hard one. It would be out of Kane and Ings for me. I wouldn't begrudge anyone saying the latter, but I think I'd go Kane. Kane's got that experience, and I think you'd need that experience to come off the bench. Now, do I think he's going to start on the bench? Of course not. I'm not silly. Not silly at all. But judging from what England have, okay, wide players are likely to be Sterling and Jadon Sancho. With these two, you're not going to have loads of cross into the box. They're both very good players. Inside forwards as well, if you want to include that. So I don't feel aerial abilities too meh. So I'm not really considering Dominic. Tammy, he's just not done enough. I think if he continued the form he had shown early on, maybe he could have gotten this team. And there was just a toss-up between Ings and Kane, but Kane just because of the England experience. Very simply, I would put him on that. He's great in the air, so he then gives you two dynamics, whereas Ings is just one dynamic. He's good at that one dynamic, but Kane can give you two. And with that experience as well, yeah, it has to be Kane. So I'd go Vardy, Rashford to start, with Kane on the bench. I think that'd be my England striking options. So we're slowly building an England team here, and we will do by the end of this. But I hope you guys have enjoyed. I mean, if you want to see anything or me to talk about anything, I know I talk about stats a lot. I love stats. I had my own twist on it as well. But I'd love to hear what you guys think. I'd love to hear your guys' suggestions more than anything. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, please leave a like. I'll see you next one. Bye-bye.